Hey guys, Scott here. Today I wanted to give my initial impressions of the Halloween event for Dead by Daylight in 2024. And overall, I would have to say it's all right. It's got a couple of interesting things about it, but for the most part, I feel like the objectives, the little side objectives, don't really give enough of a reward to justify interacting with them if you're looking to actually win. Now, if you're just trying to fuck around and just do silly shit, then I think it's completely fine. And I would say Survivor is far more fun in that regard because messing around with these smoke bombs, especially if you have particular setup or build for it, if you have friends that'll mess with you as well, it's actually really, it's a fun new thing that you can do that does actually trip killers up pretty decently if you do it at the right time. For killer though, the power that they get is just straight line attack. It's not very exciting at all. It's basically being used by killers, from what I've seen, to camp hooks and just insta down on hookers by double tapping them or wait till someone's in like a pallet vault animation or a window vault, and that's it. It's like, whether it's good or bad, I don't really care. I'm always more focused on the fun of it, and it's just not very interesting at all. It's being used in the most boring ways possible because it's not a particularly exciting thing. It's just you shoot a straight line attack. And the thing is, it can't go over pallets. It can't go through walls. It can't go over windows. So your only real option is to do it when someone is right in front of you, because otherwise they're going to have something in the way. So you pretty much save it for when people are doing unhooks, or they're just, you're going to double tap them at melee range. And that's not very exciting. That's not a very fun or interactive thing for either side. I was bored of using it as killer too. So I do think the actual powers that you get were, at least on the killer side, a bit of a miss, but I do think the smoke bomb is a lot more fun. And as killer, I got tripped up by it, and as survivor, it let me escape a couple times. I died a couple times too. It's not a instant chase escape type deal, but it is more interesting than the killer power. That's the main important part. So what good things are about this? I will say the new Void is actually really cool. I actually really like the new Void. The verticality in it is really, really neat. I love these little skinny sections where you can actually fall off. It's a whole new dynamic of dodging attacks via making like the killer fall off. It's basically JRM's wet dream. Everywhere is a hole. And I think I would love to see in the future more maps take this sort of design with this like stacking verticality and almost like vertical jungle gym type thing, because that's a really cool structure that has not really been messed with in DBD, and there's so many cool options involving that. So if any positive takeaway I would have to see from this, it would be the verticality of the Void now. I think it's really cool. The game needs more skinny platforms that you can fall off of. There's so many hilarious things you can do with that. I mean, good trap spots for killer, good juking spots for survivor. Imagine having a Wesker fly off the side of that shit. Like, there's just so many fun things that can happen with skinny little walkways like that have drops on either side. So I really like that. There's a couple of really, really bad bugs. When I was playing killer, I noticed sometimes when survivors would drop a smoke bomb, they would stop leaving scratch marks, which is intended, but then they would never get them back. There would just be no scratch marks for the rest of the game, which is really bad. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible bug to have. And considering how short this game mode is going to last, I don't even know if they're going to fix it in time before it's just out of here. So I'm pretty much assuming that bug is just going to be permanent. And you can see even like, the Kate I'm chasing just randomly for a long period of time just had no scratches whatsoever. So it is it's a little bit of a buggy mess, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we all just expected that to begin with. Overall though, I'd say the main issue is that the incentive is not worth it. And it's an issue of time efficiency. So you have this whole thing here where you have a lot of things to worry about as killer, right? There's always people working on gens, someone's getting unhooked, someone's getting healed. You always have to worry about this shit. You don't really have time as killer to just open a portal, walk into the Void. You have to channel it. Then you have to go up some stairs again. You got to walk to the central chamber thingy. Then you got to channel another thing there again. And then you have to get your power. Then you have to go back down the stairs. And you have to go channel it through the portal again. You have to do so many additional things that waste so much time that it ends up just not being worth getting a projectile attack that's admittedly just like, okay. So, and the same thing for Survivor too. This is not just a killer related thing. Like, if the killer is kind of stopping you, you don't really have time to go fuck around on the Void and just channel some shit to get a fun little smoke bomb. And it basically boils down to, if you want to win, the best play is just ignore the event entirely. Just don't interact with it whatsoever. And if the main way that you win in the event is ignoring the event, I consider that not effective game design, in my opinion. I can't think of any scenario in which the time you spend getting a power in the Void removes that time from, where, like, for example, the time spent getting a ghost, in my opinion, does not equal the amount of time saved in a chase by using that ghost. It's not really worth it as killer, because if you down one guy, that's still 3 other people working on gens. It doesn't really mean that you're, the time efficiency is just not there for you, at least in my opinion. So I think that's the main issue. The incentives are just simply not good enough to warrant interacting with the event, unless you're just caring about fun and messing around, in which case, yeah, then the smoke bombs are super fun to mess around with, and that's great. So those are really my thoughts on it. I don't find the event particularly exciting or fun. The killer power is extremely boring, admittedly sometimes effective in certain scenarios, very boringly used for camping people. So that'll be boring for Survivor. And a lot of survivors are also complaining that people are just interacting with the event too much, so no one's doing gens, which can be boring for Survivor. And for killer, it's just, there's just a lot of little scenarios like this where I can't even say it's a bad event. It's just not good either. It's just very, okay, I'll do this for a couple of days and move on, and then that's about it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. Overall, I think this was just like, a solid 6 out of 10 event. It's okay, but the incentives were simply not good enough to interact with it. Unless there's some crazy shit I haven't figured out yet. Maybe, I don't know, people find out to instantly kill the killer with a smoke bomb or something. But for the most part, yeah, that's, I think, what they need to work on for next time. Better incentives for interacting with the event. And I don't know how you really do that. It has to sort of involve gen speed, and I guess you can try to equate downing people to gen speed and escaping chases to gen speed, but it doesn't in practice really end up working out that well. So that's it. Those are my initial thoughts. I'm going to play it again tomorrow. We'll see where we go with going forward, but that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.